You could say, what is our purpose here? To take care of the garden. And if you see the garden as nature, and what are we doing? We're making a mess of the garden. And just by being disconnected. And I think every little bit of inspiration I can give, and it starts with your house.
I'm going to talk with Peter Blok about his purpose in life. What drives him to generate the circumstances so that people can live their talents and create a new sustainable culture together. Peter, you want to generate the circumstances for people to live their talents and create a new sustainable culture together. Could you explain me what these circumstances are and what drives you to do this?
Well, I have to start a little bit with my background, maybe.
Yeah.
Because 20 years ago, I sort of decided that this was not the way to continue. Modern society, I had no connection anymore. So 20 years ago, I decided maybe I will sort of change course and become an ecological architect. For me, ecological is natural materials. Mm-hmm. An ecological building that is made of natural materials is not necessarily sustainable. I can give you two examples. Imagine you build something totally natural, but it's not airtight, and you need the same amount of wood you use for the structure to heat the place, and over the years you will use more wood than you ever used to build your house. So just natural materials is not enough. No. You have to create something that is easy to heat, easy to maintain. And another problem is if you insulate it with, for instance, wool from sheep, mm-hmm. and you do that with all of Europe. Mm-hmm. We need a second planet for all the sheep. So in a way, sustainable is you don't want to cause any problems in the future. But there is a side note, and that is that you don't want to exclude other people from your lifestyle, because we can say here in Europe, we have a sustainable lifestyle, mm-hmm. but if that is not accessible for other people, because we all already consume all of the land for our sustainable lifestyle, it doesn't add up. Yeah. So for me, it's also that we have to be honest here in the West, that sustainable is only sustainable if it's accessible for everybody. So for me, all is about building or living sustainable, but with a strong focus on resilience. Mm-hmm. And in an ecological fashion. And my personal view is that I want to find the solutions in nature, simply. Yeah. In a way, it's learning or refinding the things that people used to do 50 years ago, 100 years ago, because they were very much more closer to a natural way of solving solutions. Yeah. And I think it's far more resilient, because nature in itself is totally resilient. Yeah. If we do nothing, it will continue. If there is a disaster, a fire, a storm, whatever, nature will rebalance itself and continue. On top of that, but it's a sort of a foundation. Mm-hmm. The main focus for me is health, and that's part of resilience. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people forget that we can have everything. We can have a sustainable society and everything functions, but if everybody is sick, well, what is the advantage? Yeah. And in that sense, I'm also looking for natural ways to be and to stay healthy. Yeah. And there is a strong connection with building, because a lot of buildings nowadays, they make you sick simply. to put this all together, the health, the ecological approach, and to get it as sustainable as possible, for me then it sort of lacks identity. And that's why I work on what I call culture. Diversity, identity, culture, it's sort of the glue for people to have this idea of belonging somewhere. You create this culture, you're part of something, and this is in every aspect. It's in your food, it's in your house, creating a way of living where you have a role for every human. As an architect, I see myself as creator of a sort of a scene, a stage, where you can live your life in a meaningful way, but the stage also has to inspire you and create some kind of environment where you are motivated to do better and not to say, well, I don't care and life is like this, because your life on earth is quite short. And I think we should simply work on some kind of way to be more in contact with all the possibilities. If you work on a sort of stage for people, buildings are important, and food is important, because I like to integrate, for instance, a greenhouse with the house, and this means that you sort of live and produce food, and it's also about doing things yourself, like making your own table, making your own furniture, making your own clothes, maybe, because in a way everything is anonymous at the moment, and that's really what I mean by creating something that is inspiring, simply.
Yeah, exactly.
And I.
And why is this so important for you?
Yeah, and that's purpose, I think.
Yeah.
But I have no idea why that's important. That's me.
But what do you want to accomplish with this?
Simply to make, because sustainable is resilience is simply that the human race is still here in 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Because what you also see now is that the conflict between races and the conflict between different kind of cultures, all is about that people don't know who they are themselves. Yeah. They are not proud of anything.
Yeah.
They simply are lost in life, and then there is somebody else to blame. And I think if you're totally happy with yourself, there is no need to blame anybody.
So is it maybe love for human beings for you, or love for nature that drives you?
That's simply to do the best you can.
Yeah.
You pick up a stone that you can carry, and you place it somewhere. Yeah. And you're not going to say, well, I'm going to pick this a very small stone. No, you're going to pick the heaviest stone you can carry, and you put it somewhere. Yeah. And my role as an architect is to create a sort of plan where everybody putting stones somewhere can do this in coherence. So in a way you are playing a role in a big orchestra, and if everybody plays his instrument or carries his stones, we can create a symphony together.
What is your dream?
My dream for me to leave Holland is to liberate myself from a burden that is... In Holland, life is quite complicated, because you need a lot of money to even live a normal life, and here you can have a relatively easy, low budget life, and in this way I can liberate myself and work on what I think is important.
Yeah.
It's my job now to create buildings, so that's the main focus I have. But I realized that there is a lot of things connected. It's simply impossible to work on a building without looking at the aspect of health or food, or it should be somehow connected.
Yeah.
And also health in a way that if you have a house that is simply too expensive, this will influence your health.
Yeah.
But you have to work harder. You have
With
to
stress.
sort of stress of paying the bills. And if you reduce this into a sort of simple house that will not cost a fortune, it's important. So the only dream I have is that the children of my children will be able to stand on my shoulders and the shoulders of other shoulders, and to get this place to something that is inspiring simply.
So what is the biggest insight you've had in your life? Or the biggest lesson you've learned?
That's a good question. The biggest insight, wow. Well, we have to get totally spiritual. If it's that we are connected simply with everything. That's my insight. There is an interesting film or documentary on the role of trees and how they are interconnected.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to cut down a tree is like having no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
You could say, what is our purpose here? To take care of the garden. And if you see the garden as nature, and what are we doing? We're making a mess of the garden. And just by being disconnected. And I think every little bit of inspiration I can give, and it starts with your house. Because if you live in a house that is inspiring and it's comfortable, and it gives you time to think and to be connected, this is the first step. But if you live in a deconnected house in a busy city, you have no time, you have no money, you have nothing. Well, it's like survival.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can totally understand a lot of people who are sort of held hostage by life, and they have no way to move anywhere. And I hope with this crisis that is sort of taking form, that people will be able to reach a point where they say, well, okay, I have nothing to lose now. Let's start over again. And this is my goal a little bit here in France, to help people who say, well, I simply want to live, and we have enough place here, so just start with a simple life and work together, and all in this idea of taking care of the garden.